In this video, I'm going to be attempting to survive 100 games on Roblox, ranging from poorly made dinosaur games to high quality survival based games to, But basically how this is going to work is I'm going to be using a random word generator, and whatever word I get, I have to search up on Roblox, and the first thing that pops up, I have to play. Will I be able to survive, or will I be traumatized for the rest of my life? Now, for the first game, nothing much happened. It was really just a rip-off version of the Hood with a weird flying sorcerer, which kept trying to encourage us to commit homicide. Taking this advice, I challenged a couple people, which obviously didn't end well. Now, for the second game, it was just some weird town with inverted colors. The third game was a simulator game where you had to shoot balls at chests and blocks. It was just one of those basic simulator games with pets and upgrades and all that good stuff. Although it was a little bit unique because it had custom balls that you could get. Now the third game was this speed running game, kind of like that Sonic game or the Speed. I don't even remember what it was called. But other than that, the mechanics were actually pretty fun, and it actually seemed pretty well made, to be honest. Now, game number 4 was just a tycoon game. That's really it. It was just a bank tycoon game where I upgraded a little bit. I bought some new clerks and then I logged off. But as I tried to exit the game, it teleported me back. Panicking, I desperately tried to exit the game over and over again. Was this the end? Was I now permanently stuck in Roblox? Would people find out that I'm secretly holding 3 people hostage? Never mind. All I had to do was manually close the game. Now, game number 5 was this weird kind of shooting game. It's just this game where you spawned in and you had all these different guns that you could shoot people with. That's pretty much it. There was really nothing else to the game. Now, game number 7 is when things got, interesting is the least I can say. It was, clearly meant to target little girls, and I don't think I even really need to explain why. But I did try out this fabulous hair, which made me look 10 times hotter. Now, game number 8 was probably one of the most interesting games out there. We started off in just a regular school base, but then all of a sudden, we started blasting off into space by farting. Yes, I know that sounds crazy. I really don't understand what was going on here. It was really weird. No, I'm not. I'm really not. Okay, what? Wait a minute. Wait, hey, yo. Wait a minute. What is going on? Wait, what? Oh my god. What the heck? Oh yeah, and then we got sent into the back rooms. And then after escaping the back rooms, we went back to school where I had to admit to forgetting to do my homework, which I don't ever remember being assigned. And from there, nothing else really happened. Well, besides this one weird cat thing. Game number 9 was just a game to test fonts and kind of just show off some cool fonts. I just typed in some words that, Game number 10 was Raise a Floppa, except reverse, or instead of raising a Floppa, you are the Floppa and you're raising you, or something like that. It was really weird, to be honest. Now, game number 11 was probably one of the most detailed and unique games out there. It was a game where you spawned in as this really cool looking butterfly, and you would eventually grow up in time to a gigantic, beautiful butterfly. My only complaint about this game is that I think the graphics could use a little bit of work. Game number 12 was, yeah, I don't think I really need to explain any of this. Game number 13 was this weird anime fighting game, but it was one of the failed versions that obviously didn't really get very popular. Game number 14 was actually Squid Game. Yes, that's right. It was Squid Game, where we had to play red light, green light to the end, and it was actually pretty easy. In fact, I think they gave us way too much time. Game number 15 was a ride the cart game, but instead of carts, we were balls. I mean, it was pretty fun to play, but it was really just another one of those cart games. There wasn't anything real unique or creative about it besides the fact that you were a ball instead of a cart. Now, game number 16 was a wizard game where you had to craft potions, and then you can either choose to drink them yourself or put them in the cannon to fire at the big, giant wizard. Which I, of course, chose to drink the potions myself instead of helping other people defeat the wizard so that I could have strong, muscular, block, and noodle hands, because why not? Game number 17 was probably one of the weirdest games I've seen. It was supposed to be a dinosaur stampede game, but the dinosaurs, they weren't really animated. They were just some toy dinosaurs that were charging at you. They didn't even do damage when they hit you. Oh yeah, and also Barney was in this game. Game number 18 was a free admin game where basically anyone in the game could use admin commands on anyone. And well, obviously people were abusing the commands, including myself. And I don't think they were very happy with me. Game number 19 was, I think, supposed to be some sort of ghost hunting game, but I never really got a chance to play it because it just decided not to load. Probably because the ghost was afraid of me. Game number 20 was basically just a ripoff of Slap Battles. That's really all it was. There were 2 other people on the server that I slapped off the map, but then after that, there was nobody else to slap. Now, game number 21 was completely unplayable. It was supposed to be some sort of high school role-playing game, but you couldn't even enter the school. Now, game 22 was this very interesting game, to say the least, where the objective of the game was to escape grandmother or something like that. But basically, you were just this little kid. One of those weird games where grandma ends up having like a massive house. Like, look how big these ventilation systems are. This is like literally taking up the whole house, just the ventilation system itself. Game 23 was actually a game I was sort of familiar with, called Speeding Wall, where a speeding wall came flying at you and you had to, well, escape from the speeding wall by making it to the end of the map before it kills you. I didn't really make it very far though. I don't think anyone really made it that far, to be honest. Game number 24 was another simulator game, except this time it was even more of a ripoff. This game is probably my least favorite game out of all of them, just because of the fact that it literally copied, like every single thing in this game was copied from other simulator games. It literally has the exact same aim, the exact same system, the exact same everything as every single popular simulator game. Like, these people do not deserve to be making Roblox after other people's ideas. But anyways, game number 25 was clearly inspired by that Heights game where you had to place ladders with a friend and climb up a mountain. Wait, no! Now, game number 26 was probably another one of my favorite games. And, well, you'll see why in a second. It was basically just a game where you were in court and you could say whatever you wanted to. And, well, I did a bit of trolling. Oh my gosh. Game number 27 was a sort of motorcycle game where you just drove around on the motorcycle and explored the place a little bit, but there wasn't really much to explore though. Game number 28 was just a game where I got absolutely spammed so many badges. Like, look at that. I got so many badges from this game. Like, they really just went all out with the badges. Game number 29 was actually just an airplane game where you just went to the airport and then you were supposed to get on a plane, except in order for the plane to fly, it has to have a pilot, but in order for there to be a pilot, you have to be a part of their group, and you have to spend Robux to be the pilot, but clearly, as you can see here, no one spends Robux on this game, so basically we're really just stuck in the airport. Game number 30 was a Ukrainian game. Well, at least it was supposed to be a Ukrainian game because I just kept getting spawned over and over again underneath the map. Game number 31 was a tower defense game. It had some unique neon glow, but other than that, it didn't have much else to offer. Before the game started, however, the game apparently thought I did something evil and sinister, which I would never do, by the way, so it teleported me into an invisible jail above the map. Oh wait, never mind, it was just loading in the next game. Game number 32 was a gigantic tower game where you would climb to the top of it and then get demonetized because apparently YouTube can't handle a Lego figure jumping off a building. Game number 33 was a drawing game where you just drew your way to the other side. It also had some very banger music going on in the background, which I can't show you because of, even though of course I'm not monetized in the first place. Game number 34 was a pick the door obby, which had a very suspicious piggy hiding behind one of the doors. The rest of the obby, however, was just a normal, regular obby, despite the title of the obby being pick a door obby. Game number 35 was probably one of the most creepy and disturbing games I came across in this entire run. Now, we started off in a very long, creepy corridor in what seemed to be an old facility. At first, everything was fine, but then we approached this track, which then jumped into a very disturbing cutscene where a needle would poke into our head and then carry us off away into the distance. Game number 36 seemed to be just some sort of test game where you could test out some cool mechanics and characters that this guy had made on some dummies. Game number 37 was another game that seemed to be targeted towards little girls. And I mean, do I even really need to explain why? However, I will give it to them. The graphics were really well made, but nonetheless, it definitely wasn't a game for me. Game number 38 was a killer versus player based game. However, it seemed like the players had literally like every single advantage whatsoever. Not only did they have insane guns to shoot you from afar, but the guns also did a massive amount of damage compared to the killer's melee weapons. So this game seemed to be pretty rigged in my opinion. Game number 38 was supposed to be a boat physics game, however, there wasn't really much to do, and it seemed very bland and boring. However, I actually did end up getting my boat to swim underwater, somehow. Game number 40 was a chicken game where the goal was to gather up sticks and rocks in order to repair up fences so that when it becomes nighttime, the wolves won't be able to break in. Game number 41 was a Lego game where you just kind of chillax in a house with a bunch of other people, where these two people totally weren't doing anything sus at all. Wait, what are these guys doing? Wait a minute. Wait, oh my gosh. Wait, no, you get out, bro. What are you doing? Game number 42 was a fire hydrant game. However, I couldn't really figure out how to even get in the vehicle. Therefore, I wasn't even able to really play the game. Oh, and also my avatar was really messed up for some reason. Game number 43 was a survival-based game. However, it was extremely simple and there wasn't really anything to do. I was very disappointed and I just moved on to the next game. Game number 44 was a game that was completely focused on graphics. And boy, did they do an amazing job at it. I mean, just look at these incredible graphics. However, there wasn't anything else to do or admire, besides of course the epic dance room hidden in a cave underneath the waterfall. Game number 45 was another tycoon. Specifically, it was a school tycoon game, but I mean, what does it really matter? All tycoon games are basically the same. Game number 46 was a snow tubing game where you went through this very trippy tunnel, which definitely didn't give me a seizure, which then led into this very evil looking volcano. Game number 47 was, yep, that's right, a dream face reveal obby. And it seems like maybe Elsie might have a little crush on Dream as he was standing there admiring this beautiful creation of a game. Game number 48 was a ripoff of Build a Boat for Treasure. That's really all I have to say about it. Game number 49 was actually probably one of my favorite games out of all games that we ended up playing. It was this survival-based game where you had to work together as a team to gather resources and materials and weapons in order to fight a bunch of furries that would then chase after you. Game number 50 was a game that may or may not have been inspired by Diary of a Wimpy Kid. It was a mix between a running game and an obby game, and apparently Professor Snape came back from Harry Potter just so that he could be in this obby to entertain us. Game number 51 was this weird futuristic game. Maybe it was supposed to be some sort of tycoon game or a game where you make your own spaceships. I'm not really sure, but I did find this really odd looking guy that looked a lot like Nosepass. Game number 52 was just a bunch of circle hills with some houses on them. That's it. Game number 53 was some sort of game where you had to give Red Riding Hood cookies and bakeries. Basically, you just spend the whole afternoon kidnapped at Red Riding Hood's house. Game number 54 was supposed to be some sort of nuke game, but as you can see here, there really wasn't anything there at all. Probably because Putin nuked the fun out of it. Game number 55 was a black and white house with 3 ominous looking doors. The first one led me into this strange church with nothing in it. The second room then led me into this overgrown convenience store which also had nothing in it. My avatar then got so bored that he collapsed on top of the shelf and fell asleep. Game number 56, however, was a skibbity toilet role-playing game where you got to roleplay as a bunch of different skibbity toilet characters and cameramen or whatever. Game number 57 was the game was rigged from the start. That's literally the entire game. So, very much.
You've made your last delivery, kid. Sorry you got twisted up in this scene. From where you're nailing,
why does he have a
like
gun?
An 18-carat run of bad luck. Truth is,
Oh no.
the game was rigged from the start.
Wait, this is just... Game number 58 was, well, it was actually another role-playing skibbity toilet game, except this game was a little bit more well-known and popular, and they clearly wanted me to spend Robux on this game. This one was also much weirder than the last skibbity toilet role-playing game. Game number 58 was just another anime game, except this time it took me 10 whole freaking years just to skip the tutorial and get past the loading screen. That's really all there was. It wasn't really unique at all. Just the same old anime fighting game. Game number 60 was a game where you broke into this random guy's house and then teleported into his PC, which you would then have to do this obby, except the obby was completely broken. Game number 61 was a capture the flag game, except it literally was so unclear how to play it. Like, how was I supposed to play this game? Am I supposed to dig this wall? Am I supposed to dig a different wall? Nothing really made sense here. Game number 62 was a game where you had to run away from a bunch of angry doge heads. Kind of like that one cheese rat game, if you know what I'm talking about. When I finally escaped the doge heads, I came across an obby. But not just any obby. A troll obby. This obby was such a troll that they might have well have just added Rick Astley into it. Game number 63 was a race car game, except it was just roads. Like, there were hardly any buildings, and you would literally just fly off into the void. Game number 64 was supposed to be a 3-player tycoon, except it doesn't really seem like you really worked together much. It seemed like you kind of just did one part of the tycoon on your own. But nonetheless, it still had a pretty unique idea. Game number 65 was, well, it was that one Total Drama-Rama show. But it was a bit cringy, not gonna lie. Game number 66 was another tower defense game with literally the exact same shooting guide that every single tower defense game has on Roblox. Like, literally, it was just a copy-paste from all those other tower defense simulators, and it really was not unique at all. But anyways, I got pretty bored pretty fast, and game number 67 was actually probably the game I made the most connections on. It It was actually a well-known boxing game that I had actually played before in the past, but I still absolutely sucked at the game regardless. But then, this capybara named, I don't know, noticed me struggling and actually decided to help me out and teach me how to play the game. He was really nice and he was probably my favorite capybara that I've ever met. 68 was a game where I had to solve a crime by searching around the area for clues. The decoration was pretty bland though, so I got bored pretty quick and left the game before I could find the final clue. Game number 69 was a game that you all are probably very familiar with, and if you're not familiar with it, then what are you doing? Somehow my randomizer managed to get Natural Disasters, a really old but classic game. Now I was just chilling and having a lot of fun when all of a sudden, a thunderstorm came out of nowhere and struck our beach house. Everyone was frightened. I mean, how could this happen? There were no warnings at all, and I mean, this must have been some crazy thunderstorm for it to have hit our building several times in a row. But then things got even crazier the second round when someone decided to buy a double disaster, meaning that there would be 2 natural disasters at once. And to my horror, in the distance, I saw a tornado coming straight at us. But not only that, once I looked out into the ocean, I saw a tsunami rushing towards us and absolutely demolishing everything in its path. There were absolutely no survivors after this incident. Game number 70 was another role-playing game, except this one was a little bit more interesting. I think it was supposed to be some sort of magic role-playing game where you role-played as magical creatures. I accidentally clicked this evil-looking witch woman. I didn't mean to click her. It was an accident. Supposedly you could use spells though, although I never really figured out how to use any. Game number 71 was yet again. You guys will never guess what game 71 was. Yep, that's right. It was another anime fighting game where you had to run around and beat people up. Game number 72 was a ship game, except the ships were tiny and I couldn't really figure out how to use them, so I just left. Game number 73 was a fan-made Halt recreation game from Doors, and I gotta admit, they did a pretty good job of recreating Halt. Game number 74 was, I really don't think I need to explain this at all. Okay, yeah, nope, 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 we're out of there. Game number 75 was, guess what? Yes, that's right, yet again, another tycoon game. Oh, I thought I was gonna say anime fighting game. No, we're done with those for now. Game number 76 was a game where you had to shoot zombies. No, not moving zombies, just completely idle zombie models. I did have a little bit of fun with it though. Oh yeah, also the Joker was there, who had been plotting something evil for so long that he now had a visible odor surrounding him. Game number 77 was probably one of the games I got the most angry about, and that was for one reason. This game was a game that promotes gambling on Roblox. Yes, you heard me right. In this game, you can play against other people and gamble your money away. So I cannot stay in this game for very long. I mean, this channel is not for promoting gambling. You will lose all of your precious Bobucks. Game number 78 was a fan-made obby game of this so-called YouTuber named Raptor, which I totally knew about before. What? No, I definitely did not look up her YouTube channel on YouTube. I mean, that would be ridiculous. I mean, she has over 13 million subscribers. Game number 79 was, I don't even know. It was just a long hallway with a bunch of rooms in it. And for some reason, someone has spent 4,240 minutes in this game, which is equivalent to over 70 hours. Or 3 whole days. I mean, imagine playing this game for 3 whole days with nothing in this game. Game number 80 was just a house with a road. However, just as I was about to explore the house, our friend from earlier, IDK, the capybara who helped me out in that boxing game, decided to join me and have a little fun. Except he wasn't dressed as a capybara this time, unfortunately. Game 81 was, yet again, another tycoon game, except this one was probably one of the lowest quality tycoon games out of them all. Game number 82 was a piloting game where you got to fly these fighter jets, except once again I couldn't really even figure out how to get into the plane and fly it properly. However, in the distance, I spotted a plane about to take off, and I knew I had to get on that plane, so I ran as fast as I could, trying to get on that plane, and I just barely missed it, and the plane flew off. And I was left there to die alone. Game number 83 was supposed to be a voice chat hangout, except there was no one there, so it kind of ruined the point. Game number 84 was another role-playing game. The first thing I did, of course, was try to spin the selfie stick around so fast that the entire universe exploded. I then went into this disco room and explored the bathrooms to see this really cursed urinal. What the hell? Game number 85 was one of those annoying obby games with 1,000 pop-ups all in front of you, just shoving up in your face.
Complete the obby for free pets.
Game number 86 actually happened to land on one of the most popular games on Roblox, which happened to be a game called Blox Fruits. Now, obviously I had played Blox Fruits before in the past, however I wouldn't exactly call myself a professional. So I just grinded out a little bit on the current stage that I was at in the game before leaving to the next game. Game number 87 was this bicycle game where I had to ride around and collect these wheels. However, the thing that really stood out to me about this game is how absolutely crushed your feet look when they're pedaling. I mean, just look at this. Like, what is happening here?
Like, what?
Game number 88 was actually pretty similar to the last game that we had just played, except it was a skateboard game and it was definitely a lot more polished and higher quality than the last game. Game number 89 was, yet again, another tower defense game, except this one was actually different from the other games. Unlike most tower defense games, this one actually gave you the option to not only choose your character, but to choose what guns they had. This was probably the most unique tower defense game I had played so far, and definitely my favorite out of all of them that we've played. It even had its own cutscene. Game number 90 was a game called Starving Artist, which is actually pretty similar to Please Donate, except instead of just begging for money, you're actually selling your own art that you make. Although to be honest, I still wouldn't really say it's worth your time spending hours upon hours making beautiful artwork just to sell it for 20 Robux, which is equivalent to 25 cents, by the way. Like, at that point, if you really just want money or Robux, just get a job. And if you really want to, you can spend the money that you get from a job on Robux. Nonetheless, though, I was really impressed by the artwork that this girl made, and I even decided to give her a tip. Game number 91 was actually a pretty fun game to play, to be honest. The only point of the game was to just kill other people with a knife and a gun. Even though this game was really simple, it was still fun to shoot people. Game number 91 was where things started to get a little bit dark. When I first joined in, everything was alright, you know? Like, I took a camera and I just started taking pictures of literally everything I saw. However, I decided that I wanted to venture a little bit. So I came across this cave and I decided, hey, why not? Let's go down the cave. But I realized that the cave was very dark. So I decided to use my camera flash to light the way. And also to give everyone watching this video a seizure. Luckily, not much later, this girl came with a flashlight that I guess I apparently missed, and we began to work together as we both explored the cave. But then, this terrifying beast came out of nowhere, scaring both of us half to death until it charged after me. And with the power of epilepsy, I tried to scare away the monster, but instead, he tried to consume my body. Probably because I used 10 gigabytes of storage on his camera. Oh! Game number 90 was a reversal compound game. I don't really know what that means, to be honest. Game number 94 was actually weightlifting simulator, where I had to lift weights to get buff. Game number 95 was a daycare area with a bunch of little kids everywhere. So, you know, just like a normal human being, I decided to kidnap one of them, bring them into my car, and then drop them in the ocean. Game number 96 was just another card game. Game number 97 was a survivor versus anomaly game where a random person was chosen as the subject while the survivors had to gather materials and, well, survive. I spent most of the game as a survivor just trying to follow my teammates and keep up with them. Other than that, I really had absolutely no idea what we were doing. Game number 98 was actually this anime game where you just trained against this guy, and whenever you hit him, a bunch of Kool-Aid would come out of him. We actually fought on for a while, and I quite enjoyed learning the mechanics of this game. Game number 99 was a very peaceful and relaxing game, where the point of the game, I honestly don't even know what it really was, but that doesn't matter because I just decided to sit down and relax by the fire with lo-fi music playing in the background. And now, for the moment of truth. Game number 100. Everything had led up to this moment, and I was ready. Now, starting off the game, there didn't really seem like there was much there, but then as I started the game, I realized that it was an escape room where you had to solve puzzles in order to escape from prison. The first puzzle was this slider puzzle, except I
Wasn't really good at doing slider puzzles.
I've literally only done one slider puzzle in my entire life, and that was when I was a little kid, 5 years old we're talking about. So it had been 11 years since I had done a slider puzzle, so as you can imagine, I didn't do too well, and definitely was not able to complete the puzzle by the time the timer ran. And then I just decided to quit the game. Which may have been partially due to the fact that it was dinner time, but we're gonna pretend like I didn't say that. So there you have it. That was the story of how I survived 100 games on Roblox and fortunately didn't lose my sanity, although there may have been a couple of times where I almost got traumatized.